Well, good morning. My name is Gina Hulings, Director for the Hudson County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs and Tourism Development. And thank you so much for joining us today for our school year 2025-2026 Arts and Education Program and Application webinar for organizations. So I just wanted to highlight that it's for organizations, not school and school districts yet. That is coming up next month. So again, thank you so much for joining us. What we're going to be covering today for you is essentially an overview of the guidelines for the application, and then we'll physically go into the application itself and walk you through that, which is on the SurveyMonkey platform. So before we get going, I just wanted to introduce myself and everybody here that is in our office working on the program and the grant, and we'll go from there. So first, I'd like to introduce Rosa Mundell, who is our Program Development Specialist for Arts and Education. And you'll be hearing from her a lot more shortly, as she will be going through all the details for today. And then next we have Valentina Vargas, who is our Program Development Specialist Associate and Coordinator. She supports basically all of our grants here, so arts and education, local arts programming, and history and heritage programming as well. Thanks, Val. We also have Kim Ferrier. Kim has recently joined us. We're so happy to have her here, and she is facilitating. She's our program development specialist for our local arts program grant.
Nice to meet everybody.
And then last but not least, Marissa Barron is our web content manager, and she is behind the scenes. She's the one that is working on the applications, all of our platforms, and putting together this amazing application that we're going to go over today. Right. Well, thanks again for joining us. It's going to take us a little bit of time to go over things, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. Again, we are the Hudson County Office of Cultural Heritage Affairs and Tourism Development, and we are here to help, to be a resource to you, and to guide you with the applications and funding processes moving forward for all of our grants. But today we are specializing on our arts and education for organizations for the next upcoming school year. So thanks again, and I'll pass it over to Rosa.
Thank you, Gina. Hi, everybody. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the AiEP, just give you a little history if you don't know already. The Arts and Education Program grant was born in the year 2021, and the first year it was a pilot. The 2021-22 school year, we had only 9 organizations and about 16 schools involved, and we are now going into this application will be for the school year coming up, which is in September. It'll be the school year 25-26, and it will be our 4th year. And just so you know, this year that we are currently in, we have a total of 19 organizations with over almost 40 programs in over 30 schools this year. So just wanted to give you an idea. And basically, the program is different from our other grants in that it is a 2 application process. The first stage is the organizations apply, and then the schools apply, and they get the information in their applications with regarding the programs that you are applying on, and then they get to choose what they need, what they would like to have provided in their schools, and then the programs are matched to the schools based on their needs. So without further ado, I would like to start just going over the guidelines with you. We'll have a Q&A after we do the guidelines, and then we will also then we will go over the application step by step, and then we can have any questions after that on the application itself. So if you have the guidelines with you, you can follow along. Marissa's put up our new branded guidelines, which are beautiful. And uh, I'm gonna just start with the general information. If you can go to, I think it's page 3, Marissa. Um, okay, priorities for funding. Yeah, I just wanted to go over the priorities for the funding first. One sec. So, applications which uh, include these priorities for funding are, can you make that a little bit bigger by any chance, Marissa? I feel like, okay, here we go. Perfect, thank you. So special consideration will be given to the proposals of quality, innovation, and merit that address the following priority issues. So we will give special consideration, of course, to those programs that center learners of varying abilities in non-traditional academic programs, of culturally diverse or of economically disadvantaged and underserved communities. Those that support the arts and municipalities in the northern and western municipalities of Hudson County, those that promote the growth of artists, art organizations, and educational arts programs serving students in grades pre-K to 12 in Hudson County, those that expand the influence of Hudson County artists and students to broader sphere, programs that authentically match students and school populations with teaching artists from shared cultural backgrounds and experiences, and those programs that can be flexible, providing a variable number of students and within a variable amount of time within the program period. The program period it starts September 1st and it ends in June, the end of June, June 31st, 2006. So that would be from the school year starting this September coming up to next June in 2026. We can go to the next page. Just wanted to review a couple of things on eligibility. We do need, you don't need to be based in Hudson County. If you're based outside of Hudson County, you can apply for with a fiscal sponsor. If you scroll down a little bit, thank you. The part of this grant is funded by a federal grant from the National Endowment of the Arts. So you are required to be aware of the terms and conditions, and there's a link which is in this list that you can go to just to make sure that you are. So fiscal sponsors are eligible to apply, but will only be eligible to receive funds from Hudson County, our government funds. If you are not applying with a fiscal sponsor, you are a true nonprofit organization based in Hudson County, then you will receive both Hudson County funds and a portion of it will be from the NEA. Organizations whose primary mission is related to the artistic realm. It can be any of the categories in the arts. And you may also apply as an organization that sponsors an arts and education program as community outreach service. That includes libraries, schools, community organizations, and social services agencies. This next page is basically all the ineligible expenses. I'm not going to go through every one of them. I really don't want to read everything word for word, so I'm just going to highlight, what may be different. Or so on this page, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands the programs are to be provided during the school day within the school buildings. So there are no after-school programs or summer programs that are eligible. And then everything else is basically similar to what would be ineligible expenses under uh, for example, our lab program. Um, I also added any unallowable activities costs that are listed under the NEA grants, which basically includes everything that we have listed there as well. Thank you. Okay, so one big adjustment from last year, and those of you that are new, the max request proposed per program is going to be 2,500. In the past, it was larger, but it included more than one group of students or a larger group of students. So this year, it's 2,500. If you scroll down a little bit more, Marissa, I think it's actually on the next page. Yeah, there we go. So each program is going to have, you're going to submit a program budget that includes just a budget for one group. In that first paragraph, it must include at least a minimum of 5 total contact sessions. A session is up to 1 hour, as that is usually what a class period is within the schools. They vary. They could be a little less, they could be a little more. And the school class size, we are defining as anywhere between 15 to 30 students, which is the average. So some schools may have smaller size classes, others may have up to 30 students in one group. So just remember that in your budget, you're only including one class size. And each program on its own will have its own budget and its own description, timeline. It may have, its own final culminating presentation at the end. But just going back to the budget, if you go up again, Marissa, on the second column, nope, back to the other page. Yeah, page 7. So on the top in the second column where it says the budget may be multiplied. So what we're going to do this year is once the schools apply, they will tell us how many classes they have, for example, in one grade. So say they're applying for their entire 6th graders and they have 5 groups or classes in that 5th grade program, and you're awarded based on your budget $1,500, then that they tell us they have 5 classes, that will be multiplied by 5. So your total award would then be 7,500. Okay, we can move to the next page.
Hey, Rosa, this is
Yes.
Michelle. Hi. I just have a
Yeah,
quick
hi, Michelle.
question.
Yeah, of course.
How frequently, because I think you saw my email that I was more interested in getting blocks of times with school due to logistics of travel time from Newark, where we're based.
Yes.
So how frequent do you get that kind of request where there are schools that say something like you just used, like we have 5 classes and they're 6th
Yeah,
graders?
so
Is that common?
that's more frequent than not.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. So my
Yeah,
idea
so
might align.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly,
great.
definitely.
Okay.
We do have organizations that will do several schools, and within each school, they're doing, from 3 to 5 classes within that day. Back to back.
Great. Yeah, that definitely worked better
Yes.
for us. Okay, thank
So
you.
as long as describe that and explain that in your budget narrative for each program individually, how it can be set up the different ways, we'll make sure that, we can match you to a school that is asking for several classes.
Great.
Any other questions at this point? Oh, thank you, Marissa. Okay, here's my highlight. Okay, so okay, we're on the application itself. I don't want to go too far into this because we're going to be going through the actual application itself, but I just wanted to point out, this is really important. When you apply, you're going to be asked to name your application the name of the program, not your organization. So if your organization, for instance, is Glassroots, and your program is Intro to Mosaics, the name of your application is going to be Intro to Mosaics, not Glassroots. And I'll get into a little more detail once we go into the application itself. I don't want to waste too much time here. I want you to actually see it. So you can move on to the next one. Okay, so this we're going to go through. It lists here in your guidelines all of the things that you will have to attach. So make sure you have these documents when you're going through your application so that you'll be able to upload those documents. And it just saves time afterwards that we don't have to ask you for these documents in order for you to be paid, that you already have them. And then you can review the narrative parameters. So the application is broken down into organization profile, and then it's program details. And in the organization profile, you will only have to attach this stuff one time. And all of the questions are basically right here. It's an overview of your organization, your experiences, and all of that information if you are applying for more than one program will be auto-populated in your next application. So you will not have to fill any of that out more than one time. So the next program details, that's where your application is going to differ. And you will see once you name your application in the program details, it's automatically going to put that program name on top of that section so you know which details. And everybody be sure to give different responses for each of the programs, as they will be their own programs. Timelines is pretty self-explanatory. You are going to indicate, here's where you're going to indicate to the maximum number of sessions that you are including in that one budget for that. This time it's just going to be for one group of learners, one class, so that we can multiply it based on the needs of the schools. Accessibility, you guys could read through that. There are a few questions on accessibility. If you have experience working with students with disabilities, we'd like to get you to give us as much detail as possible on that experience, so that if we do have special needs schools that want to apply, we can match those programs appropriately. I'm going to move through the budget because we'll go through that on the application. You can read to see what's allowable as far as expenses for ADA. Okay, I wanted to talk more about the evaluation of the proposals, how they are evaluated. There's going to be a peer review panel, and they are going to assess the strengths and weaknesses of each application based on their review criteria in 3 categories: merit of proposal, budget, and overall presentation. You guys can read through that. And I could talk a little bit about the school application right now, so you guys have an idea of what they're going to see. So after you guys, after the peer review is done and all the proposals are reviewed, then we take the description that you put in your application, it's copied into the school and school district application. So the schools can apply 2 ways. So actually they can apply as an individual school, and that would be either an individual public charter school or an individual public school within a district, or that there are many schools that apply as a district. So their curriculum head will apply on behalf of the entire district. And this goes back to your question, Michelle. We do get applications that list they can apply up to 5 schools within their district. And those are usually the schools that will have, several classes within a grade that they're looking to have the program in, the entire class or the entire grade. So it'll be multiple classes in one school, usually at one time. We can go to the next page. So there was a little confusion with this year. We just wanted to make it clear. We usually announce the awards via email, and we announce both the organizations and the schools after. I'll go through the timeline of when all the announcements are made in a few minutes, but for your purposes, the organizations are paid and then they collaborate with the school. So you receive the funds, the school does not receive the funds. You collaborate with the schools. It's kind of a partnership and a collaboration in the program. You receive 50% of the Hudson County AiE funds. So depending on if you are a fiscal sponsor, you will just receive the 50% of the AI. If you are applying without a fiscal sponsor, you will also, in addition, receive 100% of the NEA funds portion that we receive. That will be paid prior to the program start, as long as we have all the paperwork that we need. And then after the program has ended and a final presentation is done, you will receive the balance of the 50% of the Hudson County funds. Preliminary planning agreements. This is really, really important. Not going to go over it in detail. I suppose just please read through this. This is all updated, this section. Once you are awarded, and like I said, both the organization and the schools will find out at the same time. We ask both of you to try and reach out to each other as soon as possible, and have a preliminary planning meeting to go over the details. When is the program going to start? When is it going to end? How many sessions? How many students are there? And Marissa, if you just click on the PPA agreement, this is the actual agreement that you will fill out and sign. Give me one second. Well, anyway, you basically will meet with the program, with the schools. There we go. And this basically just gives you an idea of communication between the school, who's responsible for what, and you will have to sign one and fill out this. We will fill out the top section of this attachment with who you have been matched with, and the bottom will be blank. You will fill out the bottom after you meet with the schools and return it to us with your signed agreement. The school will receive their own, which has your information on it, and they will also fill it in. And these documents have to agree when we receive them in order to proceed. And the deadline for this is the end of October. We want, you guys to meet with the schools, talk to them about the programming, and work out all the details, logistics prior to you starting the program. And, as long as we get all this, then we know the program is set, everything's ready to go, and we can release a payment. Anybody have any questions so far? Okay, and then we can just go back to the timeline on the last page. Okay, so we're in January, February right now. You guys are applying as organizations with the programs. Evaluations and the peer review will take place during February and March. And then the school and school district applications will open March to April. The deadline is prior to spring break, so that we can make the announcements during May, hopefully more May than June. We like to try to have the announcements made so that there's enough time for you to contact the schools. The schools know that they received the award prior to, September starts. And so June through September is your preliminary planning period. You will be able to reach out to the schools during the summer. Or, in September when they do return. It gets a little crazy during September. So I really stress that, as soon as you get the award, start reaching out. And then the program, the PPAs and everything need to be completed by October, and programs, are happening. They could start in September, and it could go all the way to June. And that's the end of the guidelines.
Thanks, Rosa. I
Anyone?
just wanted to jump in
Sure.
and just highlight a couple things too. I know Rosa
Sure.
mentioned, so with respect to the funding, the majority of this program is funded through Hudson County. And then we do receive supplemental funding from the National Endowment from the Arts. But as Rosa mentioned, if you do have a fiscal sponsor, you will not be eligible to receive funding from the National Endowment for the Arts, just the Hudson County funds. And then another thing that, we're very proud of is that 100% of the funding that we receive is re-granted out to you, back to the organizations for this programming. So we're essentially have created this program as a pass-through onto the organizations that apply and are accepted. So just wanted to highlight that.
Yes. Gina. Okay, if there are no questions at this point, we can go right into the application. So this is what it'll look like after you name your application. So Marissa named her application test. So if you put your program name in there, you will see your program name right at the top. The first tasks are on the right. You will have to put in your employee identification number to be able to proceed with the application. And then here is the organization profile preliminary questions. As I mentioned earlier, you will only have to fill this out one time. Make sure, yeah. So if you don't fill in an answer, you'll get a little red message there that you need to update, or you need to upload something in order to save this section of the application and move on and mark it as complete. So you will be able to save it and continue, but in order to complete it, the section and have a green check mark on the left side, everything will have to be uploaded. So once you do that, you can go on to the next section on the left. And this is your program details. And like I said, so the program name test, that'll be your program name in there. And throughout, you will be able to click on the guidelines if you don't have them with you. There are some reminders that program name will be automatically put in there for you. And here's where you put your description of the program. And this is what will be copied verbatim into the school and school district application. So no need to put anything about, the cost, the budget in there, or anything about the organization itself. It's just a description of the specific program that you're applying for. So then for each program, you are going to choose a municipality. You may choose all municipalities, or you may choose just individual municipalities. So if you were, just willing to work with schools in Sea Caucus, you would just check Sea Caucus. Then we go down to arts discipline. You will choose one of these disciplines, and then you will choose a grade level, and you may choose all or one or a few, depending on, what which grade levels your program is focusing on, but be aware that if you press all, that you will underneath then be prompted to give a description on the differentiation for each grade level. If the grade levels are, pretty similar, we do want specifics on how you're going to, differentiate from a pre-K program, pre-K students, and, sixth grade for sure, that has to be different. But if they're close grades and there is essentially not too much of a difference, it's okay to cut and paste there. And then we would like you to upload some resumes of the teaching artists that you plan on having work with each of those specific programs. Give us an idea of what the requirements for the program that you need. Some schools have these spaces, some schools don't. So just so you know, like you may be placed in a school that does not have a lot of space or a lot of equipment. So you can tell us how, what you need, how you can work without it. That would be great. Accessibility, this is where we want you to describe for each specific program, how it's going to be accessible, and your past work with students with disabilities. Here's just whether your program can be, whether you can switch it to a remote learning situation or not, and just tell us why. This just help us in case, we do have another shutdown, God forbid we don't. Everybody's prepared. And then your timeline is just basically a session by session or week by week, how you plan on spreading out the program. You are gonna also attach a lesson plan, so you can refer to that if that breaks it down even more. But we just want to have an idea of like, when you would like to start and when you would like to end. So here, this is important and sometimes gets a little confusing. So the total number of in-class sessions is the up to 1 hour time. So it has to be a minimum of 5. So if you put anything lower than 5, it will not be accepted. So that means it could be either 5 sessions once a week for 1 hour per week with that one group of students, or it can be 12 weeks program with one group of students. And then when we multiply it by more than one, that you will not have to multiply. You will not have to, worry about multiplying. And there's an example again, as there was in the guidelines. And we'd like you to definitely put the maximum number of groups of students that we can accommodate. As we had the question before from Michelle, some organizations and schools don't have the capacity to do many classes or groups of students in one day. So they will be working with smaller groups. So if you're not able to work with more than 3 groups in a day or at a time in one school, then we need to know that, so we don't, match you with a school that has that need. But if are able to do, and say, I don't think we've had more than like 6 groups of students in one grade, but sometimes they ask for multiple grades. And sometimes they mix. So we just need to know that. And then we also would like to know how many schools you are able to provide each program in. So, there is a chance that more than one school may request the same program. So we try to, you know, match you as best as possible. So there could be a situation where the same program is at more than one schools, and some organizations are able to do that. So we'd like to know from you how many, what is the most schools that you can be put in. It doesn't mean you have to put more than one, you can just put one. And then you would mark that as complete. And then the next section would be the program budget. And again, remember, this is only going to be for one individual group of students for this specific program. Oh, so yeah, the narrative is basically the summary in word form of all your expenses that will be in the program expense sheet below. It's a good idea to have, this spreadsheet handy when you're kind of writing your summary so that you know which fee, like what your that you're matching the numbers, because if those numbers don't match, there's a chance that you will get a lower score. Once you put the numbers in, it will be automatically totaled. As you can see, Marissa's putting in the numbers. The program budget total is adding up automatically. If it exceeds 2,500, you will get a message, and then you must check that box to confirm that that is the amount that you are applying for, and then you can mark as complete. Any questions at this point on the budget? Okay, so then finally, for each program, you may submit your program support material. So these are program specific. So if the title of your program is Intro to Mosaics, your attachments here are going to have to do with that program. In the earlier part of the application, is where it's organization. So it's more in general, supporting any letters of support can be put there. And you get to upload up to 5 support materials. In this section, you can link some videos. It tells you right on the bottom what's the max size. And you have to at least attach at least one file there in order to mark it as complete and move on. And then that is basically the entire application. We just then ask that you certify. So the amount, you have to check the box, read that, sign it, check it again. It's electronically signed, and then mark it as a complete. You will not be able to submit the application without that. And then we ask for your feedback. Was the application difficult? Was it smooth? Were there any thoughts of how we can make it easier, or we can make it more clear? We appreciate, because we do look at the comments and your feedback, and we do make changes, every year to improve it. And that's basically it. So, yeah, all of those green checks you'll see on this test application, there are some dotted lines you will not be able to submit unless all of the green checks are checked off. Then on the left, the submit button will be green, and you will be able to submit it. And that's basically it. Anyone have any questions at this point? You're welcome, Sandy. Thank you for being here. I know we had a small group, but this will be recorded, so and it will be posted on our website. So if you missed anything, you can definitely look back on our website for that. If Marissa wants to just put the link in the chat box, that's where the recording will be. And if no one else has any questions, then I'm not gonna, keep you here. I know we all we all are busy. We all have a lot of things to do. So once again, I thank you and appreciate you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call us or anybody on our team. We'd be happy to help. Thank you, everyone.